Now, look, Tash, I've got to ask you about these growing comparisons between Blake Lively and Meghan Markle. So I have to give a shout out, by the way, to our friend Lady Colin Campbell, who has been doing amazing work on this whole story on her own channel and also on X. But I was very taken by a post on X pointed out to me by Goth Loretta this week, who wrote, two women, two smear campaigns. One falsely accusing a man of sexual harassment, the other bullying a woman even after she was diagnosed with cancer and even targeting her children. Both use bots to attack, and then in reference to the Hollywood agency that Blake Lively and Meghan Markle both share, both belong to WME. And it really did get me thinking, Tash, that there are a lot of comparisons between the manipulative way that Blake Lively and Meghan Markle thought they would be able to win the media game, thought they would be able to, in Meghan's case, ruin Catherine and ruin Prince William, and in Blake Lively's case, ruin Justin Baldoni and the whole team at Wayfarer behind the movie It Ends With Us. And in both cases, it's blown up in their faces.
Yes, I've been following this case myself, and it's one of those things where I can understand the comparisons. Meghan wanted to be loved and adored, and when she wasn't, she then goes into victim mode. Blake has done something very similar with this, and it's the fact that she got backlash because of that film trail, because of the way she behaved on the red carpet and in interviews when she was meant to be promoting the film. And then all of a sudden it comes out because of this backlash, everything's Justin Baldoni's fault and it's I'm a victim. There's a smear campaign. And as we're beginning to see, as obviously now that all of this evidence has been uploaded by Justin Baldoni on that website, you're seeing that she's not quite an innocent victim. And the same thing happened with Meghan when the backlash. Exactly. And then with Meghan as well, when she started getting the backlash for treating people terribly, she became the victim. She's the one that's having the smear campaign put out against her. And much in that instance, I think that it's just a defense that some people use, that they gaslight everybody. They're the ones behaving like monsters, but actually, you know, the people they're accusing of are the innocent party.
Dan Wootton and According2Taz break down the fact that both Meghan Markle and Blake Lively have been accused of running smear campaigns. Meghan allegedly targeted Princess Catherine and Prince William. Blake Lively allegedly tried to destroy director Justin Baldoni. Now, what do both of these women have in common? They used the media to launch attacks. Then when things backfired, they flipped the narrative and pretended they were the ones under attack. This is classic gaslighting.
This is the latest from Lady C on this, Tash, and I think it really is worth going into because she beautifully sort of brings together the two different cases. It is quite long, but I'll summarize it, so bear with me. Lady C writes, Prince Harry observed when he first met Meghan Markle that the stars aligned perfectly, and it's instructive to observe them swinging into line once more. Only this time, it's Taylor Swift doing a Meghan to Blake Lively, as she distances herself from her former best friend the way Meghan withdrew from Jessica Mulrooney when she was ensnared by Sasha Exeter using the colour card to advance herself in typical treacherous celebrity ladder climbing style. It's also instructive to see how the Daily Mail and other MSN publications are now confirming what my Hollywood bongo drums, God, I love Lady C, beat out some time ago, namely that Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds are feeling the pressure. They haven't yet revealed the whole ghastly truth, which is that the couple is in dire straits and under medical supervision, but they're getting there as crisis management publicist Jed Wallace sues her for $7 million, swelling the ranks of litigants who already include Wayfarer Studios, Jennifer Abel, Melissa Nathan, and Jamie Heath, as well as the much wronged Justin Baldoni. Those bongo drums are telling me that Blake Lively isn't the only Amber Turd who is beside herself with how her chickens are coming home to roost. Evidently, Meghan Markle is equally desperate. albeit less distraught, as she tries to implement WME's and Netflix's instructions to do all she can to turn her image around. But the press is no longer buying Meghan's lies the way it used to. Hence the widespread condemnation of her Instagram posting using Billie Eilish's name to present herself as a concerned, compassionate, loving empath when she is plainly an opportunist poseur who lacks restraint and the good sense to know when to shut up. What I and many others would like to know is, when did Meghan encounter the 15-year-old and her mother at Altadena? There is no photographic record of any such meeting. The area was closed to residents. Harry and Meghan were surrounded by officials and media the whole time. Where is the footage to prove this recollection, which seems to be so strikingly at variance with the fact of the circumstances? This story seems as tall as Harry in the high heels he sometimes wears to elevate himself. But the public are not as stupid as either of them. And she's rightfully being called out for not only being a disaster tourist, but also an inventive ghoul who cannot resist fabricating scenarios to prove how wonderful she is, all of the while confirming to the discerning that she is the absolute opposite. Now, Tash, I'm sure you agree it was worth sharing all of those words of wisdom from Lady C, because she is so on this story. And it's fascinating, isn't it, when you think of the tentacles between both of these storylines, and they are just so similar.
Oh, they definitely are. As for Lady C, I mean, she's brilliant, as you know, Dan, and I love following her on Twitter. I'm so glad that she started getting more vocal on there. But there are similarities, as she perfectly put herself, and I myself, I love it that she's talking about the, her bongo drums where she gets this information. She does hit it on the head. I mean, the fact that these two women are somehow treating other people badly, but are now desperately trying to make themselves out to be victims at the same time. And well, with Meghan, I mean, I think it's a little bit worse. She's actually using people that have been affected by some of the worst wildfires to ever hit California as a way to elevate and promote herself. Especially now, this seems to be two young teenage girls for self-promotion. But yeah, Lady C, as I said, I think she what can you say? I think she's said everything, really.
Let's start with Meghan Markle. We've seen this before. Every single time Meghan gets criticized, she suddenly becomes a victim. Meghan spent years attacking the royal family, through interviews, leaked stories, and even that disgraceful Oprah interview where she let false accusations of racism spiral out of control. And when people finally started calling her out, what did she do? She claimed the British press was bullying her. She cried about being a victim of racism, sexism, and colonialism. She ran to Hollywood and pretended she had been forced out of the monarchy. Are you seeing the pattern yet? This is exactly how the woke left operates. They accuse their enemies of being monsters. Then when people push back, they scream harassment and misogyny to silence criticism. We've seen this same game play out in politics, journalism, and even in our own government.
No, I totally agree. And look, all I'm going to say is that I know some of the people involved in the Justin Baldoni case, and they're good people. They are very, very good people. They are not liars. And I find it fascinating that Taylor Swift is even prepared to throw her best friend under the bus. But as Lady C says, there is loads of comparisons there, because Jessica Mulroney is now out of Meghan Markle's life. She was dead to her, because these Hollywood celebrities do not want to be dragged down by even the slightest whiff of scandal if it doesn't personally involve them. But Tash, you mentioned Meghan using another teenager. And I mean, it is so shocking. So you've got the teenager in the Billie Eilish or full Instagram video, right? Which is just cringe and horrible and yuck. But what has slipped much more under the radar is this extraordinary piece of the deranged PR campaign in Marie Claire magazine. And it is worth just sharing a little bit with you, Tash, and then getting your reaction. It's headlined, Meghan Markle's behind-the-scenes help made the biggest difference for Altadena girls' fire release. And it speaks to the poor 14-year-old girl who's found this thing, who is essentially pumping out propaganda about Meghan Markle. Meghan is so incredibly kind. She was so excited to help, this poor girl says. She says, oh, it's just ridiculous that she just came and ran. You know, she dropped stuff off and she came with bags from her own closet. She was there multiple hours a day. And then, bizarrely, they claim that she even got something called stylist training so she could help the girls choose their outfits and accessories. And this poor young 14-year-old says for all the girls that were coming in, they got to be styled by Meghan Markle. They came in and just completely broke down. Now, the problem is, Tash, I don't trust any of this propaganda piece because it is written by the woman who I now describe as the new Omid Scobie. That's not a compliment, by the way. She's called Kristen Contino. She is the senior royal and celebrity editor for Marie Claire. But let's be honest, she's an American and that's fine, but she really doesn't know much about the British royal family. She's a fangirl, but she has sided with Harry and Meghan. She is slavishly loyal to these two because she wrote the much contested article. Do you remember, Tash, last year about Meghan and the Afghani women, which turned out to be a big fake because, in fact, she hadn't spent all of the time with the women and they were the same women who she had seen last year. So the fact that Meghan is now using a 14-year-old girl, basically pimping out a 14-year-old girl to marry Claire to say positive things about her is quite extraordinarily grim.
Now let's talk about the real villain in all of this, the media. Dan Wootton and Taz expose how the press is complicit in Meghan and Blake's manipulations. Let's be honest, if a conservative woman pulled this kind of stunt, she'd be destroyed. But because Meghan and Blake are darlings of the left, the media refuses to hold them accountable. Meghan can spread false accusations about the royal family, and the press protects her. Blake Lively can accuse an innocent man of misconduct, and Hollywood still rolls out the red carpet for her. Now let's compare this to how conservative women are treated. Remember Amy Coney Barrett? The moment Trump nominated her to the Supreme Court, the media launched a disgusting smear campaign against her. They called her a religious extremist, attacked her for adopting black children, and tried to destroy her reputation. Or how about Kayleigh McEnany? She's one of the sharpest, most articulate press secretaries we've had in modern history, but the media called her a liar, sexist, and a mouthpiece for Trump. You see the difference? The media coddles left-wing women like Meghan and Blake while crucifying conservative women who actually stand for something.
The fact that they have now implied that it's Meghan who was crucial for this young girl, Avery, to be able to get this initiative off the ground. Meghan turned up a few days after lots of other celebrities had already donated. Kerry Washington, Gwyneth Paltrow, Ariana Grande, they had all given donations. Meghan's the only one to turn up and have her photograph taken in the car park as she arrived. And now it's Meghan that's trying to take credit, really, for all of it. It was the fact that Meghan went there and she had special stylist training and Meghan spent countless hours there. If she did spend countless hours there, why is there no videos? Why has no one taken photographs of it outside of those few photographs that were taken with her in the car park?
It makes zero sense. It makes zero sense. But the fact is, right, if you need to get out of a hole, don't use a 14-year-old young lass. I just think it's so unfair that she did that, and shows how desperate Meghan is now, actually, because no adult is prepared to defend her publicly. She has to rely on a 14-year-old and has to rely on the story about the 15-year-old Billie Eilish girl. I mean, it is very clear she's trying to appeal to young people, Tash. She clearly thinks that's where her base is, that's where her audience is. But let's just contrast that and let's cleanse ourselves, Tash. Let's cleanse ourselves with something beautiful and lovely that puts a smile on our face. And that is these wonderful new images and videos of Catherine, the Princess of Wales, showing that actually you don't need to do PR. You don't need to get your kids who you've met to speak to the media. If they love you, they're just going to show that they love you, which you can see here in this beautiful, beautiful footage. I know you shared it on your X as well, Tash, of the children just literally not wanting to let go of Catherine. And the great thing is that that's not set up in any way. You know, this is very surprisingly captured photos. And it just shows that this is a woman who has true connection with youngsters, right?
Oh, she is. They've nicknamed her the People's Princess. It was a name that they gave to Princess Diana, but you can really see it with Catherine. She's such a natural with the children, and the children are very much drawn to her, with one particular little girl called Grace who didn't let go of her hand all day. I thought these images, the videos, it was really beautiful to watch the interaction of the princess with the children, and it just seemed like it was a really lovely day out, to be fair, to the National Gallery.
I know, and she's doing such good stuff, and it's natural, and, this is not where we thought we were going to be, Tash, when it came to Catherine. I know we had conversations, we were very nervous. Robert Jobson, who I had on the show, really did believe, not in any negative way, but he just thought it was going to take a very long time before we saw Catherine fulfilling any sort of full-time role. And that just hasn't proven to be true. She's ready to go. She's loving it. Her stature is higher than it has ever been. And it's just so amazing to have her back.
This isn't just bias. This is straight-up media manipulation. All right, let's talk about why Meghan and Blake Lively are so desperate to be seen as victims. Because in today's woke culture, being a victim is a currency. It's no longer about what you achieve. It's about how oppressed you can convince people you are. Look at how Hollywood, academia, and the leftist media operate. If you're a successful conservative, you're privileged and should be ashamed. If you're a failed leftist, you're a victim and should be praised. Let's be real. Meghan isn't a victim. She's a multimillionaire married to a prince. Blake Lively isn't a victim. She's a Hollywood A-lister married to a famous actor. These women have every privilege imaginable, but instead of owning up to their failures, they use smear campaigns and fake oppression to shift blame. And this is the modern left's biggest problem. Instead of taking responsibility, they manufacture oppression to justify their failures. And the worst part? People fall for it. It's time to wake up and call out these frauds.
Oh, it really is. It was a very daunting year. I think many of us, there's not very many people now that haven't been affected by cancer in one way or another, losing friends or loved ones or even neighbours. And, it is one of those things that it can go the other way so quickly. So it's so wonderful to see that Catherine has come through it as quickly as she has, and she's now feeling better, and she's now back to resuming duties. And it really is just, I think she's a bit of a beacon for people as well, that have gone through cancer and stuff. She gives people that little bit of hope, and I think she's going to continue to.
Well, Tash, as you said in your post, Tash, so cute that the children wrapped themselves around Catherine. They knew they were in safe hands.
So what's the takeaway here? Meghan Markle and Blake Lively are not victims. They're manipulators. The media protects them because they push the right political narratives. The left's obsession with victimhood is destroying personal responsibility. Smear campaigns are the go-to weapon of woke elites who want to silence their critics. This isn't just a royal scandal or a Hollywood story. This is the fight for truth, responsibility, and real accountability. Drop your thoughts in the comments below.